Hey everyone, I'm back. Sorry, I got sidetracked by something in the last video. It says, so I was at the part when it says, Wade says, "I can't eat your delicious foods." To demonstrate, he took a mug from one of the outdoor tables. He swallowed its contents and strained to speak, his head bubbling with the heat. "Very unpleasant," he croaked. Bernie suddenly recognized Wade. "Wait, I know him," he said to Cinder. "He's the food inspector." "Oh, right," Wade continued. "Number 4, I'm banned from your father's shop. There are a million reasons why this can't work. A million no's. But there's also one yes." He stepped closer to Ember. "We touched," he said, "and when we did, something happened to us. Something impossible. We changed each other's chemistry." As he gazed into Ember's eyes, she smiled, but Bernie jumped toward them, exasperated. "Enough," he cried, his voice yanking Ember back to reality. "What kind of food inspection is this?" Wade stood his ground. "A food inspection of the heart, sir," he replied. "Who are you?" asked Bernie, jabbing his fiery finger at Wade. "Just the guy who burst your daughter's life in a flooded old basement," Wade said. "So you are the one who burst the pipes," accused Bernie. "What?" said Wade, taken aback. "Not me. It was..." His eyes involuntarily darted toward Ember. That's like the... That's funny, because that's like so painful. That's so painfully relatable, how you're under pressure, but you like involuntarily do something that you don't want to do, but your body just goes against your will. You know, that's painfully funny, but relatable, I guess. Ember's eyes widened. It was too late. The damage had been done. Bernie looked sadly at Ember. "You?" he asked, his eyes narrowing. "You burst the pipe?" I stammered Ember. "Ember," Wade started to say. "Silence," Bernie bellowed. "No," cried Wade. He pleaded with Ember. "Take the chance. Let your father know who you really are." "Look," said Wade, "I had regrets when my dad died, but because of you, I've learned to embrace the light while it burns." Then he recited in perfect Furish, Tishak, "You don't have forever to say what you need to say. I love you, Ember Lumen." Party guests gasped, but Wade continued. "And I'm pretty sure you love me too," he said softly. Ember looked into Wade's eyes. She was completely torn, but she had to make a decision. She put up her firewall, trying to hide behind it. "No, Wade," she said flatly, "I don't." And I was like, ooh. I was like, that's a rough one. That's a tough one. At that moment in the culvert, the crack in Ember's glass dam grew larger. And I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like a simultaneous event happening. Wade's heart felt as if it were cracking too. "That's not true," Cinder argued with Ember. Then she faced Bernie. "I did their reading," Cinder confessed, throwing her arms in the air. "Bernie, it's love. It's true love." Ember flared hotly as she ever had. "I don't love you," she hollered. Another crack sliced through the wall. "Go," Ember cried, purple with anger. Wade, heartbroken. Man, that's rough. That's like harsh though, you know, saying to him, "I don't love you," after all they've been through. It's like, oh man, I can understand, I guess, what she's feeling, but man, that's like, that's rough. That's harsh, man. Bernie glared at Ember. "You have been seeing water?" Ashfa eyes, she tried. Hurt and betrayal flickered across Bernie's face. You caused the leak in the shop, he said. I trusted you. Ember's flames burned with shame. Man, she's like blushing a lot in this story. At the beginning with Gale, teased her about Wade, when the family was praising her for fixing the sculpture. And now with shame. It's funny, it's all for 3 different reasons though. I mean, that's kind of interesting. That just can happen. Bernie began to cough. You will not take over the shop. I no longer retire. Jeez. He grabbed the lantern and stormed into the shop, with Cinder following close behind. Party guests began quietly to leave. They were like, oh, this is getting awkward. We're getting out of here, I think. She says, why can't I just be a good daughter? At that inner conflict, that's like really so relatable, I think, you know, and really well written. And then she sees the dam break. Then Wade leaves. And then the town starts to flood, which is a pretty intense scene. Water rushed down the culvert. The river slammed into the Wetro track, which came crashing down. The lights go out everywhere. Scary. And then they get, Wade and Ember get, Wade sees Ember driving their motorcycle. And then he says, which I like, you came back after everything I said Ember. Are you kidding? And all this? And really quick before I forget, I mean, that was the other kind of cliche I had to nitpick with was, you know, Bernie finding out Ember lied about the cause of the broken pipe. You know, he's so disappointed in her, which I get it, but I'm like another cliche, you know, the whole, that is the liar reveal cliche, like, oh, you've been lying to me this whole time. I mean, yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's a little, I don't hate it, but yeah, that is a little nitpick cliche I had with it. So now all the debris is flooding the town over. They get stuck then in the top of a chimney. Wade was steaming because of Ember's heat. The water, I have to open that up. No, said Wade, the water will come in and you'll be snuffed out. But you're evaporating, cried Ember. She saw that Wade was full on boiling now. I don't know what to do. It's okay, he said calmly. No, it's not okay, she cried. He took her hand. Ember, I have no regrets, he said. You gave me something people search for their whole lives. Ember cried, pleading with him. But I can't exist in a world without you. I'm sorry I didn't say it before. I love you, Wade. Steam surrounded them. In her sorrow, Ember's most vulnerable light cast rainbows on the wall. Wade instantly felt a sense of peace. I really do love it when your light does that, he whispered. As they embraced, steam continued to fill the hearth. Silence fell. Wade was gone. And when I got to that, I was like, oh man. I was like, oh man, did they really just kill off Wade? I mean that seemed pretty final. I mean, seeing he evaporated, I mean, how do you come back from, I mean, that was a rough part to read even. I was like, geez. And then the hearth, they cleared debris away from the fireplace. Bernie, Cinder, and their neighbors did it for her. It was a nice bit. Her own light was dim. Wade is gone, she said sadly. Cinder climbed in and held Ember tight. Oh, my daughter, she soothed. He saved me, said Ember. She pulled out of Cinder's embrace and faced her father. Dad, this is my fault, Ember said, her voice shaky. The shop, Wade, I need to tell you the truth. She took a deep breath. It was time to admit what she had come to realize. I don't want to run the shop. I know that was your dream, but it's not mine. I'm sorry. I'm a bad daughter. And that was... She handed the lantern with the blue flame to her father. Bernie set down the lantern. Ember, the shop was never the dream, he said, his voice thick. You were the dream. You were always the dream. That's like such a good line, man. At those words, Ember embraced her father. I loved him, Dad, she admitted, sobbing now. I like how it kind of escalated. Man, that's like such good writing. I mean, Ember went from saying, I never cried, and then she tears up a little bit with Wade talking, you know, praising her. And then she cried a little softly, it seemed. I have to see the film maybe to understand it maybe a little more. It seemed like she was crying a little bit, not knowing that her dad was going to retire and she'd have to run the shop, pressured into it. But now it says she's full on sobbing. I mean, man, that's such good writing, how little by little she was showing more of her emotion. I mean, man, that's such good writing. Cinder wrapped her arms around them too. Then Ember heard a familiar whisper. Condensation had formed in the chimney. A drop of water, like a single tear, fell into a bucket. Ember glanced up. Could it be? And Ember got an idea. She remembered the crying game she had played with Wade and his family. Butterfly, she said softly. Butterfly windshield wipers, half butterfly. She could hear Wade crying softly now. A few more drops plunked into the bucket. Ember felt a surge of hope. An old man on his deathbed remembers the summer he fell in love. Oh, that was the other line I forgot to mention when they were playing that crying game that Wade said. More drops fell. Ember covered her mouth, now crying tears of joy this time. Man, that's such good writing. She was out of his league and he was young and scared, she continued. He let her go, thinking surely summer would come again. It never did. Water fell harder now. Wade was bawling. Realization dawned in Cinder's eyes as she gazed upward. You are a perfect match, she announced. 10 out of 10. Wade sobbed. As water poured into the bucket, Bernie looked at Cinder. I don't understand, he said. What's going on? Cinder waved her on. Cinder waved her hand. Just say something to make the water guy cry, okay? Bernie scratched his head. You are no longer panned, he said. Banned, Wade whimpered. Banned, Bernie agreed. That's a funny little callback there. As Wade wailed, a puddle formed on the ground. Ember stopped over to the middle of it. I want to explore the world with you, Wade Ripple, she shouted. I want to have you with me in my life forever. Droplets poured down, then they stopped. The bucket was full. Ember peered into the bucket. Two eyes peered back, and a smile formed. Wade stood up. Whoa, he breathed, suddenly realizing he wasn't wearing any clothes. Kind of funny visual there. Your chimney needs cleaning. He quickly located his shirt and pulled it on. Ember ran toward Wade, laughing. And this was unexpected. They kissed for the very first time. Ember glowed a breathtaking purple that lit up the room. That's a nice scene. It's a nice visual. I knew it, declared Cinder, beaming. My nose always knows. That's kind of pun, man. Even Bernie had the chuckle. Ember looked so happy. How could he not be happy for her? This was a nice chapter here, and it was touching and kind of heartbreaking at first, more touching too. I mean, I didn't think Wade would get killed off, but it really had me there in the back of my mind. Man, you know, he evaporated. How are they going to come back from that? The condensation that brought him back, I think, miraculously, I guess. But I know I don't know if I call it a nitpick, but I mean, you know, you've seen probably film, you know what I'm talking about, you know, when you think someone dies but they're not dead, it's called a fake out. Now, I should be mad at this scene. I should have a nitpick about it, you know, like, they got us with a fake out death. I guess, but I can let it slide. Even the other stuff, the third act breakup, at least it didn't seem to last long from how I read it. And the liar revealed, at least that didn't last long either, it seemed. And this Wade's fake out death, at least it didn't last long either. They didn't linger over all of the cliches, the cliches, so that was a good thing, I guess. And we get to the end here. It took many months for Firetown to recover from the flood. Well, it's never explained what caused the fire the crack to break. I know some reviews have said that it's not explained. I don't know if because the crack got, you know what, maybe it's Ember, how she was feeling, you know, maybe her emotions were dictating, her getting mad and upset was the reason why the dam failed. Her emotions were maybe, because then I saw some parts where, like you said, when she was getting mad and sad, then the dam started cracking, so maybe that's subtly the reason why. I mean, it's never explained, but I don't know, maybe that was the implication. So then, you know, we fast forward a little bit. Bernie's shop, now fully restored from the flood, bustled with customers. The original shop sign hung above the door. Hot logs spun, lava java steamed, and kids crunched on crackly candy. Claude, wearing a shop apron, the little kid that was flirting with Ember, stood on the ladder beside a fire girl. If you were a vegetable, he said, you'd be a cucumber. He held up his arm and revealed an armpit flower. He yanked it out, yelping in pain, and presented it to the girl. My queen, she giggled. So from the visual here, it's like a younger girl now, and she's interested in him now. So he finally, I guess, found the right match, I guess. You know, someone his age, obviously. That's kind of funny. Gail dressed in Windbreaker jersey, because that was her team name. I can't believe we're going to shut this place down. And she accidentally backed into an Earth guy who was also wearing a Windbreaker jersey. Whoa, sorry, Gail apologized. Then she realized who it was. Fern, you're a Windbreaker fan? Toot toot. I can't believe I just realized that term. Toot toot Windbreaker. Okay, I just made the connection there. Silly May. I think I think Windbreaker Toot Toot. It's a fart pun. See, I don't like that kind of humor. I don't think it's that funny. But I can't be mad at that. I guess it's kind of clever. It's not cringe. I can let it slide. Toot toot, he answered, pumping his fist. Toot toot, said Gale, instantly smitten. Flurry and Florida stood behind the counter now. You know what I like best about running this shop? Asked Florida. Not having to eat Bernie's coal nuts, declared Flurry, chuckling. Sorry, I couldn't hear you through my retirement, toyed Bernie. Everyone burst out laughing just as Ember entered the shop. When Bernie caught her eye, they shared a smile. Wade came in behind her. Hey. Everyone greeted him, including Bernie. Hi, Wade, they called good-naturedly. Hey, Wade, called Claude. Yo, yo, yo. Wade laughed and turned to Ember. Ember, it's time, he said. She smiled sadly, but she knew he was right. It was time to go. So when I got to that part, I was like, are they leaving, I guess? And they do. To go their own way, like the song. Ember and Wade, grand getaway. Ember and Wade prepared to board a passenger ship. But first they had to say goodbye to their families. I'm not ready for a tearful goodbye, said Wade. Brooke burst out crying. Oh, Wade, she blubbered. You big liar. Drip, drip, drip goes the baby boy. She hugged him. When Wade burst into tears, Bernie shot Ember a glance. Are you sure about this one? Ember grinned. I'm sure. Then her expression changed. Dad, I'm sorry the internship is so far away. I mean, it's the best glass design company in the world. But who knows if it'll become a real job. And it might not end up being anything. Shh, said Bernie. Go start a new life. Your mother and I will be here, and now we have more time for hanky-panky. Shush, scolded Cinder, giving him a playful nudge. I like that. That's kind of clever, you know. That's kind of cool, you know. Ember found what she liked, you know. Ember found her footing, in a way, you know. Found her interest. I like the hanky. I actually threw that in. I'm surprised. Hanky-panky. Wade and Ember began to walk on the ship of the ramp. The ship on the ramp. The ramp of the ship. But Ember turned back. She smiled at Bernie and set down her luggage. She knelt on the dock. I was like, oh no, they're gonna propose. That would have been like, really? But no, they don't. I thought she was gonna propose to Wade, but Ember was gonna propose to Wade. Thankfully she didn't. I mean, that would have been a little sudden. She knelt on the dock looking at Bernie, her dad, before and gave Bernie the boxo, the big bow. Cinder gasped at the respectful gesture, but Bernie, tears in his eyes, stepped forward and returned the bow. Returned the bow. He and Ember shared a moment, both feeling a tremendous weight lift. And Cinder helped Bernie up, and the boat sounded its horn. It was time for Ember and Wade to go. Ember hurried up the ramp and boarded the boat behind Wade. Leaving Firetown was difficult, but she had taken the first step a long ago, when she had summoned up the courage to follow a waterman onto a train. I like that. Her follow a waterman onto a train, you know. Step outside her element, no pun intended. Leaving her parents and the security of their family shop was even more difficult. What was ahead for her across these waters? What did the future hold? Ember didn't know, but with Wade by her side, she was ready to find out. And that's the last words of the book. And as you can tell by my series on this so far, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would give it, I said, the characters, the themes, the heart, the humor, the emotion even. I mean, this is shaping up to be one of Disney Pixar's best, I think, in years. The last one I liked was Turning Red. I thought that was good. It was better than I thought it would be. But this is easily shaping out to be one of their best in years, I think. Maybe of the millennium. I mean, I haven't thoroughly enjoyed a Pixar story in a very long time. Toy Story 3 I really loved, though. And even 4 I kind of liked. But this, there's just something to it. And I'm going to do a full movie. When I see the movie this weekend, I'll do a review of it afterwards. But man, I really enjoyed the story. So if I'm going to buy the book, yeah, I recommend get the book if you can, and please see this movie, which I'm going to see, I said, but I'm going to, please, I know this movie's for sad reason it's expected not to do well. I don't know why. It's getting good reviews, looks like, from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Audience score isn't available yet, so I'll have to wait and see on that. IMDb is even like between a 6 to 7 out of 10, which isn't bad. But I hope this movie blows expectations out the water this weekend at the box office. I hope it comes in at #1. I hope it beats Flash. I still want to see that. I'm not gonna lie, I do want to see Flash. But because I love the animation, I love the story so much, I'm gonna see Elemental first. I highly recommend everyone see Elemental first. Please support animation all you can. Please let this movie show that original ideas are not dead. Please, I know I haven't seen the movie yet, but just by going off the novel, I think I'm really gonna love this film. So with that, I give it maybe 8, 9 out of 10. I mean, that's how much I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I found it so relatable, even with the parents running business. I know that's relatable. It's so relatable. But man, this had a lot of relatable stuff that I really enjoyed in it. I don't know what else to say. I mean, yes, please see the movie. Everyone, if you're watching, please see Elemental this weekend. Please support your local theaters. They really need it right now. I know with COVID, I know they've bounced back, but they really need all the support they can get. I know not everyone, I know high prices and all that stuff, but if you're able to, I should say. If you're able to, please see Elemental. Please support original ideas, and please support animation, please. And that's really all I gotta say. Catch you guys later. Bye.